Hello, this is your friend Bluelabel and welcome to this second Elder Scrolls Blades PvP guide for advanced players. We are going to talk about abilities and perks and also about the math of spells. This information is going to be useful for every competitive player, and if you want to improve on the arena you need to watch this video. So welcome again to this second PvP guide. Here is my skill tree. As you can see, I only have a few unlocked abilities. It is important for you to know that almost every ability it's more useful at tier 1. Quick strikes, piercing strikes, venom strikes and recovery strikes are better at tier 1. Why are those abilities better at tier 1? Because the extra damage you do for improving those abilities costs much more stamina. You need to consider what amount of extra damage are you taking for stamina spent. Also, it's better for you to carry cheap abilities so you can use abilities twice before you get ravaged. Dodging strike, adrenaline dodge, focusing dodge and renewing dodge are not better at tier 1, but we are not talking too much about those abilities because those are not pretty common on PvP. My recommendation is that if you are using dodges, focus on the cheap ones and upgrade those dodges only to the tier in which you evade enough damage to avoid an ice spike or paralyze. And now, the most important bashes on this game in my opinion are Harrying Bash and Staggering Bash. Harrying Bash is one of the abilities that is not better at tier 1. The best tier is 4. And you can see that now on that table. If you keep upgrading Hurrying Bash after tier 4 you don't add much more seconds to your target skill cooldown, so you are wasting a lot of stamina. And also the most dangerous thing, get ravaged before you even use that bash. And now talking about Staggering Bash, in my opinion the best tiers are 3 and 4. The amount of time your targets get stunned by a Staggering Bash increases proportionally to the required stamina. My advice is, choose a tier where you have time to land one hit and don't use a lot of stamina.
True and earnest of the arena!
Now we are going to talk about skills. And I am going to show my skill tree as an example. As you can see, I'm investing a lot of skill points on Armsman, Elemental Protection, Willpower, Combat Focus, Matching Set and Enchantment Synergy. Those skills are pretty important because improves your character every second of every match, and you should do the same. Do not waste skill points on Load Bearer and Healing Surge, those skills are useless on PvP. And the last recommendation is, not unlock Advanced Tempering. Why? Because no one is always tempering armor. The gems you get per month are more than the necessary to change your skill tree twice per season. So you can temper your gear once a month or once every 15 days, and after that, use those skill points in useful skills for battle. And finally, we are going to talk about the math of spells. Prepare your notebook to take notes. Almost every spell is more useful as you improve them because all spells takes more damage to your target as you improve them, but also more magicka is required. But, what is the best tier for spells? Before we start with the best tier of spells, it is important to remind you that elemental conditions are set once your opponent takes the amount of 25% of their PvE health of elemental damage. Not all the elemental damage combined. So let's take a look to this chart. This chart shows the amount of elemental damage you need to do to your target to set the condition. It shows the exact amount of damage you need to take when they are not wearing pieces of health, when they are wearing 1, 2, or 3 pieces of health. And also the second chart shows the amount of elemental damage you need to take if they are wearing 3 pieces of health with 1, 2, or 3 secondary enchantment of Fortify primary. So before concluding what tier is the best for every spell, we are going to suppose that our opponent is wearing 3 pieces of health, all of them with Fortify primary enchantment, and also they are wearing a tier 7 enchantment synergy. This means that we need to take a total of 292 elemental damage to set the condition. Also we are going to suppose that our opponents are wearing 3 secondary enchantments of spell resistance. So they get a total of 62 spell resistance. Fireball. We require a total of 354 fire damage to assure that we are setting our opponent under a condition. Therefore, this spell is better at tier 12 and higher. Consuming Inferno. You can see on this chart the amount of damage you take per magicka spent. The best ranks for this spells are after rank 9 or 10. Paralyze. A pretty important spell for mages, the main purpose of this spell is to paralyze your opponent, not to take damage. So you need to be sure that every time you cast this spell you have big chances to paralyze them. If we suppose that your opponent has 3 spell resistance and also carrying a shield with 480 block rating, you need to always cast this spell after resist elements from your opponent is finished. So you need to use at least a paralyzed tier 9 to 12 or use potion rings, gauntlets and aversions. There is still a lot of information we are missing, but we are going to talk about that information on our third and last PvP guide. On that guide we are going to talk about the awesomeness of the secondary enchantment elemental damage ignores resistance and how channel spells like Frostbite, Poison Cloud, and Consuming Inferno really works. Finally, I leave this 3 final matches for you to watch.
Ready, fight! Ready, fight! Ooh, what happened there? Ready, fight! What a struggle! Ready, fight!
Thank you very much for watching. I hope this guide was useful for you and hope you enjoy this game as I do. See you on the arena, your friend Bluelabel.